Rolo to the Rescue is a platform puzzle game. You play the main character Rolo the elephant, and you have to save all his animal buddies, which are the mole, the rabbit, the beaver and the squirrel. This game is very cute and colourful. Okay, so the gameplay isn't amazing, but there are so many levels that there is variety in abundance. Although Rolo to the Rescue isn't remembered as a solid classic, it is still a great game and it allows you to explore for hours. Kid Chameleon is a side-scrolling adventure game. Although heavily influenced by the Mario titles, it does manage to have its own charm. There were 9 different masks that you could collect and all gave you a different ability. This was a great aspect because some really helped you through the tougher levels. Okay, so the levels were a bit bland and samey, but overall it was enjoyable. Also, the game is ridiculously long, over 100 levels to complete. In an age before saves, anyone who completed this as a kid gets my respect. Desert Strike puts you in the seat of a chopper in the Middle East. Your objective being to take out a madman plotting to take over the world. This was the coolest game when it first came out. Flying a helicopter and blowing up your enemies, that was phenomenal. Although, it could sometimes be hard to control the helicopter, but the graphics and general layout were top rate. There is a good variety of mission objectives that are very rewarding if you manage to finish them, although running out of fuel is very common. All in all, Desert Strike is a Sega classic and is well worth a play today. Pugsy didn't really have a story as such. The main plot was that the raccoons stole Puggy's spaceship and you have to trek across levels to find it. Although I'm not 100% sure what Pugsy actually is, I love this game. It wasn't simply a side scroller, you actually had to unlock puzzles, and it was the first game I've ever played that used physics. A lot of the levels required you to counterbalance items so you could reach higher platforms and reach your objective. This was a nice touch and something different from other games. Pugsy is one of those rare games that was brilliant, but you don't exactly know why. Comic Zone was unlike any game I'd ever played before. It was basically a living comic book. Instead of simply running through levels, your character would burst through the panels of the comic book. The visuals still remain great to this day, which is a pretty good achievement. Unlike other games on the Mega Drive, there was a variety of choice in Comic Zone. Most levels, you would have multiple choices in direction, which meant that every time you played it, it would be different. Comic Zone was more than a run-of-the-mill beat-em-up. There were also many puzzles that you had to work through, some of which were insanely hard. Comic Zone is a visual treat, and is still worth a play today. Although small in stature, Micro Machines was a big hit. It wasn't just a racing game, it was racing tiny cars around household worktops and bathtubs. It really was unique. Although the graphics weren't revolutionary, it was pretty detailed. The fact it was a bird's eye view really helped the driving aspect of this game. Zooming around obstacle-ridden countertops was the best it got for racing on the Mega Drive. With a great variety of cars, many different tracks and environments, Micro Machines remains a solid title. Aladdin will remain one of the best film-to-game adaptations of all time. The gameplay was fluid and the graphics were beautifully done. The game kept the charm that the film produced before it. Using 2D sprite work, the game was able to concentrate on the action and the characters rather than worry about developing a 3D model. For that, Aladdin runs so smoothly, and it really is an amazing game. If you loved the film, then this game was a must-have. Riding a magic carpet over lava was one of the high points of the Mega Drive. Bomberman is included here, not for the single play, but more for its brilliant multiplayer mode. Playing Deathmatch on Bomberman was enough to entertain you for hours and hours and hours. The single player mode was good, but it did get pretty tedious after a few levels. For its great multiplayer mode, Bomberman makes it onto my list as a very entertaining game. This title was the first time that the Caped Crusader had appeared on a home console, except of course for the abysmal GX 4000 version. Although it is a standard side-scrolling beat-em-up, it does have the excitement and charm of the 1989 film that it is based on. The level detail is good, and it carries a dark atmosphere. The bad guys are a bit samey, but destroying them as Batman never fails to delight. The soundtrack on this game is one of the best on the Mega Drive, and it simply adds to what was already a great game. Okay, so just about everyone saw the film Jurassic Park when it first came out. When the game was released, everyone asked whether the game would be as good as the movie. Was it? No. But it was still very good. The levels are incredibly long and full of hungry dinosaurs that attack Alan Grant at every opportunity. If that wasn't bad enough, there seems to be a pit every 2 feet that you could fall into. So with that, you had to watch every footstep and use every skill to get to the end of each level. Great details and graphics, and the fact your enemies are dinosaurs, this game is a keeper. Most licensed games are pretty bad, and Mickey Mouse could have fallen deep into that trap. Although I was never a particularly big fan of Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mania was a fantastic game, and it stopped the trend of terrible licensed games. The graphics were sublime, and the gameplay was smooth and effortless. Every character was drawn beautifully, and you seemed to spot something new every time you play it. So much detail went into every aspect of this game. Mickey Mouse fan or not, everyone should play this game and appreciate the great art of game development.